Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, as promised earlier today, we have a very important discussion in this studio discussing the recent developments with regards to the military escalation and the conflict in the region with the U.S.-Israeli-Iranian war. And for more on this, we're delighted to be joined this morning in our studio by our guest, Dr. Hatem Elgoharey, Professor of Israeli Studies from Ain Shams University. Dr. Hatem, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you. The pleasure is mine.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for your time this morning. Now, of course, lots of developments are happening every day with regards to the conflict in the region, adding to the military presence already in the Middle East. A U.S. Navy ship carrying 3,500 soldiers, sailors and Marines has arrived in the region. Another new development, a new front opening with regards to the Iranian war. How do you see this? What strategic message do you think that the U.S. is sending by deploying the Marines to the Middle East? Are we expecting boots on the ground?
I think Mr. President Donald Trump is staying in his same position which we have seen since this new year. After his national strategy, he said something, then he did another thing. He said that we are going to stop being the cap of the world. Then after a few days, we suddenly found America kidnapping the president of Venezuela.
Yeah, this is another, yes.
Okay.
But back to, yes, the development on the ground.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm saying that this military escalation with this new
arrival, yes.
It means that Donald Trump is staying on the same page. He will do whatever he likes, whenever he likes.
Do you think, Doctor, that this, I mean, other side of the coin, some say that, you know, it's not about possible boots on the ground, but maybe they can be used as evacuation, for example, versus combat missions. Do you see this as a possibility?
Whom they will evacuate? I think, I mean, extracting. Before they speak about extracting nuclear materials from Iranian soil. But I don't think this is going to be extraction or evacuation. I think it's a threat. He is threatening.
It's a strategic ploy.
Yes, he is threatening the Iranian military that we are ready, we are open to all options, and whenever I say go ahead, I can go ahead. So, and you can remember, there was some news speaking about there was already boots in the land, and we have heard or we have read about that there have been some of them were captured by the Iranians.
And of course, on the other side, Iran has said that they are awaiting the arrival of U.S. soldiers, and they seem to be very well, you know, prepared in their threats. How do you see their retaliation to their presence? Do you expect the Iranians indeed will fulfill their threat to set them ablaze, as they said?
I think the Iranian military are very, very well prepared for a land war or for a land battles.
Why is this, Doctor? Why do you see them as prepared? Is it because they know the strategic hideouts, the areas? Why do you see their preparation in this regard?
This is their own land, mountains, seas, lands. It's a very, very vast area for a foreign military force to go and invade Iran. Iran is not Iraq. They are not coming from land like what happened before in the second Gulf between Iraq and the, you can say, the international allies. They have no entrance from the land, so they must come by air or come by sea. So how they are going to do this with large numbers? I think this is just propaganda. Mr. Donald Trump is... Okay.
Sorry, I was just going to ask you now, at the same time, the Iranian state-affiliated media is also reporting heavy bombardment across Tehran, including civilian areas, saying several explosions hit parts of the capital as well. The attacks are still ongoing, and there's now a new player, if you may, as the Houthis have also entered the war. We're seeing the Iran-backed forces also waiting to expand in the Middle East war. How do you see this development, Doctor?
First, these attacks on Tehran I think it goes with the contradictions which is tied with Donald Trump and with Netanyahu. How can you speak about peace and peace treaty for say 10 days, and while this peace treaty you bomb Tehran and you bomb the power stations and you bomb the oil fields? How can you understand this? I think he's
right. And on the other side now, you mentioned, of course, yes.
I was coming to the Houthi.
Yes.
No,
to the Houthis. Yes, yes.
I think the Houthis, when they engage now in the fight, this is a message, a very important message, not to the American or the Israelis just. I think it's to us. This means that the Israelis and the Americans is not backing. If the Americans and the Israelis are backing, Iran would not involve the Houthis. This really means that behind the curtains, what's going around in the backstage, America and Israel isn't gonna go back in a near short time.
We recently saw an address by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who came out and said that their aims are now being fulfilled, and he doesn't see a need to set a deadline or an end to the war. However, their strategic aims for the war have been halfway met. How do you see this recent address by the Israeli Prime Minister?
It goes with his policy. Netanyahu is going with escalation in all the fronts, and now he wanna the war with Iran to go and keep going forever. This statement he did say yesterday, I think he is so you can say so aligned with himself. He is a very, very clear man. He says that I'm gonna fight till I make a new Middle East. He is so frankly, he's telling us that he wanna change our own Arab Islamic region. He wanna to change us, and so we must say about how we are gonna respond to this threat, this geocultural threat. This is the idea. This is the main point. How we are gonna respond to this. We want a new project, a new narrative. This is the whole idea
behind his yes, threat, and also the attacks, the constant attacks that he's launched into Lebanon. We're talking about displacement of hundreds of thousands of Lebanese people leaving their homes, and we're talking about thousands of people being killed through the bombings. How do you see the operation as well by Israel into Lebanon, specifically during this time in the middle of the war, the bigger picture?
Netanyahu needs to raise flags. He needs to raise flags in any front, in all the fronts. When he is attacked by the Iranian, he will go to hit in Syria, in Lebanon, in any other place, because this is his own doctrine. He wanna be the head of the Middle East. I think this is his own diplomacy. He wanna be at the front of the Middle East.
Now, of course, Doctor, we have a quick report on day 30 of the escalation of the Middle East conflict. The crisis now appears to be entering a far more dangerous phase, one defined not only by the intensifying military exchanges, but also by the growing possibility of the direct ground confrontation between Iran and the U.S. We have more details in this report, and we'll be right back to commence and continue our discussion with our guest in the studio. Let's take a look.
Tehran has issued some of its strongest warnings, yet threatening severe retaliation against American forces if a ground invasion takes place. These statements come amid Iranian accusations that Washington may already be preparing for such a move, even as diplomatic signals continue in parallel. This combination of military escalation and political messaging highlights the increasingly fragile balance between deterrence and open conflict. At the same time, rhetoric from Donald Trump has further raised tensions. The U.S. President President has openly considered the possibility of seizing Iran's oil resources, including the strategically vital Karag Island, which serves as a major hub for the country's crude exports. Such statements signal a shift towards more aggressive strategic thinking, where control over energy assets becomes directly linked to military objectives. Yet, this hardline approach is accompanied by signs of tactical flexibility. Washington has indicated that Iran may be allowed to facilitate the passage of additional oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz, a critical global choke point through which a significant portion of the world's energy supply flows. This dual-track strategy, combining pressure with limited concessions, underscores the complexity of the current moment, where confrontation and negotiation are unfolding simultaneously. The Strait of Hormuz remains central to the conflict, not only as a military flashpoint but as a key driver of global economic stability. And disruption of the shipping in this narrow corridor has immediate and far-reaching consequences for international markets, energy prices and supply chains. As tensions rise, the waterway has effectively become a strategic lever, amplifying the global impact of what might otherwise remain a regional conflict and war. Taken together, these developments suggest that the war is approaching a critical turning point. What began as a series of contained military exchanges is not evolving into a broader and more unpredictable confrontation. The prospect of a ground war, combined with escalating rhetoric and the strategic importance of energy infrastructure, raises the stake significantly. In this environment, decisions may be by both sides in the coming days not shape the trajectory of the conflict and war, but could also redefine the balance of power across the region and beyond.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and still on the morning's edition of The Breakfast Show. Once again, delighted to have with us in the studio Dr. Hatem Elgoharey, Professor of Israeli Studies at Shams University. Once again, Doctor, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Now, as we heard in the report, the disruption of the shipping route in the Strait of Hormuz is another side to this confrontation and to the conflict in the region. And this has a very big part as well to play, and is a pressure point really by Iran, as it is continuing to control the Strait of Hormuz to impede the passing of shipments or ships carrying oil and energy supplies to countries all around the world. How do you see the use of this vital and strategic waterway by Iran?
I think this is something that Americans have already known before they waged this war. America is already very well acknowledged with the response of the Iran military. They want this conflict. I think America wants this conflict. I think Israel wants this conflict. In another way, they are promoting another world passage from India through Emirates till Israel, then to Europe. The Hindu passage, the Indian passage. This war have too many sides. The military side, then the economical side. This economical side, I think yesterday or the day before, Netanyahu did came with a statement that he wanna another way for the oil to go by pipes from Saudi Arabia through Israel till the Mediterranean, and then goes to the ships to Europe. There is two sides of this war, three sides.
Yes, and also the whole energy prices and the inflation in the global economy as a result of the increase of petroleum prices. This is another layer to add to the conflict.
They don't care. Let's take things in a very serious way. They don't care. They already have put this in their mind. And now they are moving the whole picture of the economic and the military and the political, you can say, big image as they want. This is the new world era, which comes with Donald Trump and with the Abrahamic Accords.
Yes.
I think we are seeing a new Middle East. I think we are seeing a new ways of controlling the straits.
The region, yes.
This strait you are talking about, Hormuz Strait, Iran did, they spoke today about a law for putting their own control on the strait. And this is something already done. Iran is saying that I am inside the public of Iran, I'm going to control this strait by a law. This is a war. This is war, economic, military, political.
Now, there's lots of efforts. We've seen lots of diplomatic efforts. The Egyptian foreign minister was recently in Pakistan, meeting with several foreign ministers from Turkey as well as Pakistan and Egypt, etc., and Saudi Arabia to try and start, the negotiations. On the other side, we've seen the American administration saying that they would be progress with regards to the negotiations, that they'd be willing to end the war even if the Strait of Hormuz issue isn't fully resolved, etc. How do you see the differences and the efforts with regards to negotiating some sort of break or ceasefire in the attacks?
The Arab Islamic leaders in Pakistan gathered for making a unified vision for the future. This is my own opinion.
Yes.
Our own foreign minister, Dr. Badr Abdul Ati, I think he did gave a very good idea about the Egyptian project for a new ally. This is, I can call it a new ally, a new geocultural ally between Egypt and Turkey and Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. At the other way, we cannot believe what did Mr. Donald Trump announce today, that he is gonna end the war even if the Strait of Hormuz was still closed, will be closed. So I can tell you that there is gonna be some, you can say, sudden things, some strange things can suddenly happen. Maybe you can see another bombing, maybe we can see the Houthis with another missiles, but this still to come in the next days.
Right. Doctor, a very important part that I want to discuss with you is the role of the where is the international community? We are just seeing very weak or watered down responses by the international community. Where are they? Where are the human rights organizations? Where are the strong leaders all around the world, the countries from Europe, etc.? What is their role, and what role can they efficiently play in order to reach the end of this war?
If you can go back in time and remember the first term of Mr. Donald Trump. Can you remember this? Do you remember the first term of Mr. Donald Trump?
Yes.
Okay. In his first term, he stopped all the fund for many international organizations, including that some of them were under the UN. So, like UNESCO, like UNRWA. And now, in his second term, he was threatening some judges from the Holy Court of the Justice. So, what international community are you speaking about now? We are in a critical moment.
Yes.
The whole world regime is shaking. Which part can see the future very well is the part which will have a part in the future. So we must be ready to have a new vision, to be a new bloc, a new geocultural bloc, the Arab Islamic bloc, to tell the whole world that we have our own standards, we have our own cultural points to be respected. We must say that Palestine, Jerusalem, is a limit that you cannot cross. We must say that we can control our own straits. We can manage our own straits from Bab el-Mandab to Hormuz to Jabal Tariq, even the land pipes. We can manage this. We don't need America. We don't need Mr. Donald Trump. We don't need.
We need more of a self-sufficiency for the Arab nation. This is what
at the political side, at the international, you can say policy, as an international policy.
Yes, diplomatic ties.
Yes,
Absolutely.
okay. This is
Right, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it at that. We've run out of time very, very quickly, but I'd like to thank you very, very much, our guest for this morning, Dr. Hatem Elgoharey, the Professor of Israeli Studies from Ain Shams University. Many thanks, sir, for your time and your
pleasure
insight.
is mine.
Thank you very much, Doctor, and have a very, very good morning, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Good morning
much.
to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we take a short break, and we'll be back to continue the breakfast show. Stay tuned.